And now for something completely different.
Hi, my name is Annie Grossman, and I'm a dog trainer. This podcast is brought to you by School for the Dogs, a Manhattan-based facility I own and operate along with some of the city's finest dog trainers. During this podcast, we'll be answering your questions, geeking out on animal behavior, discussing pet trends, and interviewing industry experts. Welcome to School for the Dogs podcast. This week's episode of School for the Dogs podcast is brought to you by SaneBox. SaneBox is basically EMT for your email. As messages flow in, SaneBox does the triage for you, sifting only the important emails into your inbox and directing all the other distracting stuff into your Sane Later folder. It's awesome. I love it. I use it so that I know what messages I really need to pay attention to now and what stuff I can get to later on. It also has nifty features like a Sane black hole where you can drag messages from annoying senders you never want to hear from again, and Sane reminders to ping you if someone hasn't replied to your email by a certain date. Best of all, you can use SaneBox with any email client or phone anywhere you check your email. See how SaneBox can truly magically remove distractions from your inbox with a 2-week free trial and $15 off at schoolforthedogs.com/sane.
Katie, beautiful Katie, you're the only good girl that I adore. When the moon shines over the cacao shed, I'll be waiting at the kitchen door.
Hey there, everyone. So if you're into following dogs on Instagram, and really I don't know why you wouldn't be, you've probably come across an account called Toast Meets World. Toast, who sadly passed away last year, was really one of the first megastars of Instagram. She had over 350,000 followers. She appeared in Vogue and on Good Morning America. She was in Harper's Bazaar. And it's tempting to say she brought all of this upon herself because she was just very, very cute and particularly memorable because she had this funny face with a tongue that was always sticking out. But I'd say the real reason for her success was the powerhouse publicist who rescued her, Katie Sturino, who I was fortunate enough to interview for this episode. Katie now manages several Instagram accounts for her dogs. She continues to manage Toast's account and also her late dog Underpants account. She has a real talent at naming dogs, I think. They're all very funny, very unique names. And when she isn't on Instagram, she is managing the lives of 3 dogs right now, Muppet and Cheese, who, like Toast, were both rescued from puppy mills. And then Sock, who is a 16-year-old Shih Tzu who moved in with her when her fiance moved in with her. And there are just so many amazing things about Katie. I mean, beyond the fact that she is one of the only people I've ever met who has lived in a Manhattan apartment with 5 dogs, although now she's down to 3. I think what's coolest about her is the way her career has kind of evolved and thrived in these unusual, exciting directions because of her love for dogs. Having these Insta-famous dogs ended up leading her to get attention for a blog and Instagram account she started for herself called the 12ish Style, which is basically about how to look awesome in celebrity-worthy clothing, even if you're not a tiny celebrity-shaped person. She uses the term body neutral, which I really like as an alternative to the whole body positive movement. And as someone who is a pretty solid size medium, I don't know, I think it's a nice way to label yourself. Like, can I just be a normal sized and healthy person and not have to attach myself to some kind of movement? But there's more. So she went from being a dog publicist to, I guess, what you might call like a plus-sized fashionista blogger, to a product developer. She recently launched a brand of personal care products called Mega Babe, and it's all stuff that like solves lady problems that I don't think anyone else has ever tried to touch, and few people have ever even tried to talk about in a public way. Two of the most popular products in the line are Bust Dust, which is a lotion meant to tackle boob sweat, and then the stuff called Thigh Rescue, which is for what I like to refer to as chub rub. And let me tell you, thigh chafe is not something I'd really dealt with before, but I'm currently 5 months pregnant, and because of this, my inner thighs have developed a whole new relationship with one another. So I traded Katie for a stick of it in exchange for a few rolls of my Donald Trump dog poop bags, and I love it. It's made it possible for me to wear dresses again without having to put bike shorts underneath. Anyway, I asked Katie how she identifies herself. Is she an entrepreneur? Is she a product developer? Fashion icon? The label she chose for herself, however, was dogager. And I'll let her explain exactly what a dogager is.
It's like the evolved Kris Kardashian version of a dog manager.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard other people say I want to be
Kris Jenner.
I want to be the Kris Jenner.
Yeah. Yeah.
But who knew this is the world that we would live in? So you didn't grow up with dogs.
No, I was obsessed with dogs.
Okay.
I had a big giant breed book when I was little that I used to carry with me, and I would just go over and review all the breeds, and I loved them so much. And my parents were like, no, you cannot have a dog. And then one day we got a kitten, and that
you were like, that's not
and
a
I was
dog.
like, okay, not a dog, but it's an animal. So her name was Kitty, and I grew up with Kitty, who was like not friendly, bit my ankles, would hide under the couch and attack me.
Not a dog.
Yeah, not a dog, a cat, if you will. So that's kind of what happened. And then right after I was able to, so I started working for myself. I was like probably 25.
So just to back up, you grew up in Milwaukee.
Yep.
And then you moved to New York?
I moved to New York right after college.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to University of Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then what brought you to New York?
During the summers, during school, I interned here to work in fashion because there's not that much fashion in Milwaukee.
Were you doing fashion PR?
Yes. Yeah. So
How did you get into that?
I wanted to get into fashion, but I didn't want to deal with numbers. And I thought I wanted to be a buyer, as I think like every girl does at some point who likes clothes. And then you realize you're buried in spreadsheets, and that's what being a buyer is. So I went into PR because I wanted to be able to interact with people. And then I started working for myself because I hated the environment.
So did you get a dog when you moved here? Right away?
No, I didn't. I had to wait. A while I waited. But I started fostering. I fostered a dog through, what is the rescue that sits at Union Square?
Mighty Mutts, maybe?
Yes. I started fostering through Mighty Mutts, and I had a dog named Wolfie. For about 6 months, we fostered her, and she was old, and she bit people. Eventually, she had to go to another foster.
So that was your first?
That was my first in-home dog, which was, I loved her. She was super exciting. And then I rescued a Great Pyrenees mix puppy from Alabama named Baron, and Baron lived in the city with me for about 2 years, and he got people aggressive. So people and dog, but people was the main concern. And in New York, like, you're in the elevator with people, you're on the corner with people.
Now, you had him from when he was a puppy?
Yeah, and it just like came out of nowhere or somewhere, but I don't know where. We went to trainers here. It just didn't. It wasn't working here for him. So I sent him to live with my parents in Wisconsin. And
what how's that?
It's good. Like we sent him.
Sometimes not being in New York is the solution.
It's just he wasn't a New York dog.
Yeah,
and that's like not every person is meant for New York.
Absolutely,
not every dog is meant
I feel
for
like
New
that
York.
too. I think that it's hard for a lot of people to be in New York.
Yes,
right?
Yes, and he just wasn't
dogs.
for him. We sent him to like a behavioral camp.
Like, by the way, that doesn't mean I think there's some dogs like you can work with them, but
totally.
But that doesn't mean a wrong answer is finding another home for them.
Yes.
It's just...
I don't actually think rehoming is a bad thing for anyone. I think it's almost less selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I know a family who has like a Cocker Spaniel who's high energy. They had kids, and she's in like her crate most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
She'd be better off with like a different family.
Yeah,
you know. But people feel guilty, and they're like,
and they love their dog. It's hard.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
Easy. It's hard. So how did you get into? Now I should say right now. Tell me the accounts that you manage, because that'll help introduce some of these dogs that are here. We're here with three hilarious dogs right now, which we'll introduce in a moment, but. The history, I guess, starts with Toast.
Yeah, so Toast was my first account. She wasn't my first rescue, actually. I got Muppet. Muppet was my first rescue after Baron. And then I learned about puppy mills.
How did you learn about puppy mills?
Because they were both puppy mill rescues. And
where did you rescue them from?
Muppet was from North Shore Animal League.
Mm-hmm.
She was from a mill in Missouri, which is where a lot of the puppy mills are.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea that pet stores get dogs from these factory farm style facilities, and that the parents of the dogs are kept in the cages and given no interaction and no love, no care. Nothing.
What gave you an education on this?
North Shore Animal League. Yeah, because I was like, this dog's so cute. What's her deal? Why is she here? Did someone dump her here? And they're like, no, she's from a puppy mill. I was like, what's a puppy mill? And then I like flooded back to all my interactions with pet stores where I was standing in the window waving at the puppies, and suddenly I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. I didn't even know that I'm basically waving at this like terrible situation and bringing positive attention to it. So Toast was 5 when I got her, and all her teeth rotted out from having the puppies and no vet care. So she had just this little stinky tongue that hung out, and she was so cute.
And she was a English Toy Spaniel?
She was a King Charles Spaniel.
Okay.
Yeah, a Ruby. And she was like a real, she just stole people's hearts. So I decided a couple years into her living with us, and Instagram was becoming more popular, that I wanted to start an account for her. Just because I thought she was special, and everyone who met her thought she was special, and I thought we could really like do funny pictures and get more awareness for puppy mill rescues. So it started off like that, and then...
What year was this?
2012? Mm-hmm. 2013? Mm-hmm. Something like that. But Instagram dogs weren't happening. It was just Tuna, like from Tuna Melts My Heart, and Jif Palm. No, not Jif Palm. Boo. Mm-hmm. It was just Boo and Tuna were the only dogs that people knew about, and Grumpy Cat. That was it. That was the animal scene at the time.
Were you doing fashion PR with Instagram at that point? Like, was that part of your job by then?
No, I mean, not really. Like, it was still early, and brands were figuring out how to engage socially. But I could see that it was coming. I felt like Instagram was going somewhere, and I took Toast on as a bit of like a client. So I was doing fashion PR. So I reached out to my network. I did Who Were It Betters with her. I dressed her. I dressed her up in different like movie character outfits, and just started sending these photos out to different editors and seeing if anyone would pay attention. And in the beginning, everyone was like,
I love that. So it was like a passion project, kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
Or an experiment.
It was a total passion project. For like 6 months, it was like me putting a lot of time and effort into it, and everyone else being like, "What are you doing? This is weird." So
I love that. I mean, did you think like, I'm gonna make money off of this eventually? As much as it was a passion project, did it seem like, no, I see where this is going, even if you don't?
Like, I saw the possibility for where it could go, but at the time, it wasn't happening with anyone, so I didn't, I mean, I've had other ideas in the past where I'm like, this is it, and then it's not it, so I was just hopeful, right? But, yeah, that ended up being a really incredible, life-changing experience, and Toast did so many cool things, and she got married on Real Housewives, and yeah, she wrote a book, and she was
was there one moment where you were like, oh, this is actually going somewhere?
Oh, I think Barney's.
Or was there like a certain number of like followers? that
No,
you
the
hit?
followers never grew in the way I thought that they would. Like, so many dogs have more followers than she does.
How many followers does
She
have?
had, when she passed, she had like 370,000.
So she never got the amount of followers, but she must have had the right followers.
She had a quality following, as they call it. But I think Barney's approached her to like do something, like just not for money, but just to have her at some event. And then I was like, well, this seems important.
You're like, I got my dog into Barney.
Yeah, as my dog is like taking
Barney's
pictures
calling.
of Barney's. I'll take it.
I love that.
So that was very cool. And then the social media thing kind of started to blow up.
Yeah, from
and
there.
like brands really started to use dogs as actual like advertising vehicles. And I think through Toast Instagram with like the Adopt Don't Shop message that we were promoting, I think that a lot of people got to know like what a puppy mill is, why what the potential is for a rescue to be like beautiful and cool and not damaged. And we did a national billboard campaign around adoption and like how sheltered pets are like stars and how they're cool and they're not like not sad but like a positive thing.
There's no reason that a shelter dog is necessarily any less happy than any other dog.
Yeah, or more damaged or more prone to have problems. It's,
right, but that you know, the photos that you see of shelter dogs are usually like poor, sad dog. You know, needs a home, whereas you know the dog that might have been having an awful life in a puppy mill, but now is living in a glass box at a puppy shop isn't branded to look.
You're
sad.
right.
It's part of what's interesting about it for you is that you're also vegetarian.
Yeah.
I think because to me that means like you're really standing up for a much broader cause of treating animals fairly, because I think people tend to think, you know, cats and dogs are one thing
but we have such a disconnect with cows, horses, pigs. Like we think that
like they're less than us,
or that there's like a difference. People are shocked that they wouldn't eat horse meat, but they'll eat cows. And what is the difference?
Yeah, I think it's weird. For example, though, like I think it's really weird, and I'll probably make some enemies by saying this, but I think like conformation breeding and training is really weird.
What's that?
Well, like all the stuff that you see at, you know, Krups or Westminster or any of that, it's all breeding. It's basically eugenics. It's like, how can we breed a dog that is this specific size and has ear shapes that are exactly like this, and the winner of the best in show is like the one that conforms most to whatever the breed has decided it is, like, which is crazy when you think about it. It's like if we were trying to breed all people to look like, I don't know, Jennifer Lawrence or something. You know? Like, how close is this person to that ideal? And so much of breed trends stem from that. I mean, maybe we're moving away from that a little bit with all like the doodles and everything, which aren't part of that. But I mean, at least most people with like dogs who aren't official breeds, I don't think are breeding. I don't know how much doodle breeders are like trying to breed like the ideal doodle.
No, I've seen a lot of fucked up doodles on the sidewalk too. Like I've seen like some weird short leg doodles, some super tall doodles, like just some weird things ended in a weird place for them.
I don't think that's weird. I don't think that's any weirder than you being like, I'm larger than everyone else in this room. Yeah, frankly, we all come in different sizes.
It's true,
and you want a dog,
but the expectation for a doodle breed, right? Because people have expectations around like the standards of what things look like.
People might have expectations, but not in the same way they would for like a Springer Spaniel or a Doberman, where it's actually written down in a book. Like, this is what, and that's what the conformation breeding is. I actually think it's cool that dogs can be in such varied size. Yeah, because like it's actually healthier, you know, genetically. It's healthier that they not all be the same. You know, the same breed, and you know, and all breeds started out as some kind of mix of some kind. Anyway, so you got Muppet first. Yeah, and then you got. And Muppet is a Cavalier King Charles?
Muppet's a Cavalier King Charles.
And was he from North Shore?
She's from North Shore. And then Toast was from a Humane Society mill raid in North Carolina, and then she came up to get fostered in New York. Foster Toast kept her, and I got underpants 2.5 years ago. And she was in the mill the longest. She was 8 years old when we got her, and she had some cancer tumors and some eye business going on from her time there. But other than that, she was pretty cool, and she was a very interesting dog. She didn't really ever fully bond with people the way that the other guys have, but I don't know. She was very special and very interesting. And
Did she bond with you?
Not really. Not in the way that these two psychos behind me have. Like they've got to be near me. They've got to be on me. They're watching me. Pants was like doing her own thing, and that's I think what made her really cool.
So you started this account. People started getting interested in rescue, and was this before or after then you started the 12ish style?
This was all before. So the 12ish style actually started because I met the Man Repeller girls on a NARS shoot for Toast. So
Interesting.
Yeah, she was there as like a model for this.
See, part of what I love about your story is I feel like part of my goal, I guess, with this podcast is to show all the different jobs you could have that involve dogs.
Yeah.
And because I always think that growing up, it never occurred to me that I could be anything other than a vet. And if I wasn't going to be a vet, I wasn't going to be able to work with dogs. Right. Because, I didn't think I could aspire to grow up and be a dog walker. That didn't seem, like it wasn't, exciting enough.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I'm not going to be a vet. I don't think I could do that. And so therefore I can't do anything. But here you took this passion you had.
It's a very modern career that we have here, and who knows how long it'll be around. But if you really look, there's dogs in ad campaigns. There's dogs everywhere, and those dogs typically I found are a different type of training. They're like a higher performance dog. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they're there to do certain on command tricks and.
I'm sorry. Do you mean the dogs? Are you talking about Instagram famous dogs?
No, I'm talking about like ad campaign, movie, that kind of dog. Mm-hmm. Those dogs typically I find they're working in a more traditional sense where they're working with like a trainer that has them like doing like rollover like crazy like hoop things and like bark on command.
But a lot of the time the dogs that are like in ad campaigns and stuff aren't doing really anything much more than like a really good sit stay.
Yes. Yeah. But I feel like they pull those from traditional animal training agencies. So this, which is not what I do. Mm-hmm. And there are like specific dog agencies now, and
but do you think of yourself as an agency for your dogs?
No.
Or for other dogs? I'm no.
No.
You said not what I do. I'm just trying to understand.
What I do is more like commercial.
Partnerships, would you call it?
Yeah, partnerships.
So, because sometimes it's just funny to me that like we're posting photos of our dogs and sending them to each other at all. Like, how would you explain that like to a dog? Like,
I don't think it's like it's crazy.
Like, you have all these fans of people that you don't know,
but Toast,
who will probably never meet you.
Toast
but
knew
they're
she
excited.
was famous though. Toast was like more. I don't know. She had like a whole thing going on. She was just more aware. I swear. And she was a real professional on like the photo shoots. Like she like could. It's like she could speak. It was very interesting.
So that helped you then move on to non-dog related Instagram.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's true. You almost have to think of it as an agency. It's sad to say. I mean, I'm imagining you actually kind of as an agent for your dogs. I
am an agent for the dogs.
With a what's the word? Rolling roster, because sadly, they're gonna. Some of them are gonna, but they all are going to die eventually.
Yeah, it's true, especially when you're rescuing seniors.
And so it's this funny kind of brand that has like an expiration date.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself continuing to rescue?
Of course. There is no other option for me.
Where do you rescue from? Do you have a process?
I I think I start to get like obsessed with the idea, and I'm like, we need to bring someone else in. Like, I want like this is who I want. This is who I see for us, and then I go for that dog.
Mm-hmm.
So very rarely, actually 0 of them have been found through the process of like, oh, like she came to us and it just worked. Like, I went out seeking the type of dog I was looking for, not necessarily for Instagram, but for me. Like with Pants, I wanted a funny dog. I wanted a dog that would make me laugh every day, and she did, because she was just so weird. Her face was so funny, and I looked for her face. Like, I wanted the face that was going to make me laugh, and that was her.
How has it been bringing one dog in with the other dogs? Because sometimes that can be a tricky thing to navigate.
It's never a thing. It's like these girls are more, it's more like a cool girl clique. Like, they won't let you snuggle with them for like a month.
All 3 of them?
We're down a couple dogs in here, but when it was Pants, Toast, and Muppet, when we would foster, they would like not snuggle the foster dog until like a couple weeks had passed and they had some like time with him. They're like, fine, you can sleep with us. And then when Cheese came, they were like so mean to Cheese. Not mean in like barking or growling, but more like just icing her out. And then eventually they were like, okay, you can sleep with us.
But they snuggle with each other then?
Oh yeah,
they don't try and get to bed with you?
They love sleeping in my bed. They love it. But I had 4 dogs in there, and like, it
was too many dogs.
Someone had to get up and get water. Someone had to go to the bathroom. Someone was stepping in my face. Like, it was just, I was up all night, every night, and for no reason. So we started having him sleep out in the hall.
Yeah, my dog sleeps in bed with us, but I also sometimes get grossed out when I think about like him walking on the street all day, and then I don't like clean his face.
Yeah.
You just
or that I like kiss Cheese, and all she does is lick pee. But like, I love her.
So what would you suggest to someone who's interested in trying to get their dog Insta famous?
I would suggest that you come in with a really specific angle that is not happening already, because I feel like people think that they have a cute dog and they can just take pictures and it will become famous, which is not the case. We're actually trying to think about how to reshape Toast Instagram. Obviously to keep it as a rescue platform, but to find a better personality fit for Cheese and Muppet, because that's who's here, right? So we're trying to figure that out. So
you mean like getting a dog that's a new Toast?
No, like just a new angle.
To photos you already have of Toast then? Or?
No, like a new angle for new themes to post with Cheese.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Toast's account?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then...
rather than just give Cheese her own account?
Yeah.
Is this a conversation that was considered?
Well, yeah, because Toast has quite a lot of followers, so it's not like something, and that's really hard to do. You don't want to throw it away. Yeah. So...
And you can't just change the name? Is that bad form?
I could totally change the name, but to what?
Cheese Meets World?
I don't know.
Cheese on Toast?
These are all the names I thought of, which is so funny that these are the 2 first things you're saying. But yeah, that's been discussed, and it just hasn't felt right. So I'm still workshopping.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting, like, modern day question.
I know. It's very
Your dog
weird.
dies, what do you do with their Instagram account so you can still leverage the
following. And, like, Cheese is so cute.
So cute.
And has such a good personality.
Maybe we need to make Cheese into a training star. You can have her doing tricks.
I think tricks are fun for her, too.
How old is she?
She's only 4.
So tell me about bringing Sock into the mix.
Yeah, Sock was like a total surprise to my life, I guess, because I didn't anticipate having a dog who I didn't bring in the house, I guess. But she's interesting because she's so old and she's blind, 16. Oh my gosh. And the dogs really are very gentle with her, and they're nice. Like, everyone gets along, and she doesn't snap at them, and Sock's mostly just interested in food.
I like dog names that aren't like people names.
I hate people named dog names. Bella is
There's
the
a lot
worst.
of Bellas. Personal question, if I may.
Sure.
Did you're engaged? Is that right?
Yeah.
And you're engaged to Socks person?
Yes. Yes.
Did he know about your dogs then before he met you through social media?
No, he didn't.
No?
No. He
So
didn't.
what was his reaction when you were like, by the way, my dogs are famous?
He was like less shocked than you would think someone would be. Most people who I was talking to or going on dates with, when you say that my dogs are famous, they like don't really know how to react to it because they're like, all right, like, oh, you're crazy. So it's like I let people in on that really slowly because it's already enough to have. I had 3 dogs at the time that I was single, so.
Right, it's a lot going into any relationship.
It's a lot,
with
yeah,
dogs.
it's a lot. Like, a single woman with 3 dogs seems.
But you know what?
weird.
When I think you have to set some kind of like test, I guess, in a way. The way I think of it, I'm like,
totally.
if you're gonna love me with my 3 dogs,
yeah,
then
you gotta take the dogs into account, and that meant like everything. That means like you're cool with walking them. You're cool if they just like pee in the middle
it
of the
should
room.
be like you want to find someone who's like excited.
Yes, and
not
and
just like, okay, I'll put up with
that.
it. Right?
For me, what was my fiance? He came in
It's a
right
great-
in just
great
as a
barometer.
dad.
Yeah,
Like,
wonderful.
and that was a lot. And Sock didn't move in with us for a while. It was like his
kept his
mom
own
he
place?
brought from like the old country. Like he waited until we were all like settled, and he was like, "I've got someone for us." And I was like, "Ugh, I already love you. Fine." No, so Sock stays with her mom sometimes, but her primary residence is here.
Oh, all the more people to love her.
Yes,
All the more people to love
she's
her.
very loved.
And so now, what's your main business? I mean, so the dog stuff led to your 12-ish style stuff, which I think is so cool, and it's such a great idea. I mean, like you said, you kind of need a gimmick, and I think you found a really great one.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and then
I guess to people who aren't familiar with the 12-ish style.
The 12-ish style it's a blog about accepting your body, yourself, everything at every size, and over time it's become more of like an activism place, calling people out who are not accepting or.
Well, I like your notion of being body neutral.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, you really know.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes. I think that's a great way to be about it. Like, you know what, dudes of the world, this is who I am.
I don't need to draw
and,
like glitter on my stretch marks. Like, I don't need that level of like body love. I just need to not say things to myself in the mirror as I pass by.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
That's where I am.
You need to feel like, you know what, this is who I am, and
Yeah,
like
we're
life's too
here.
short for me to be wasting a lot
Exactly.
of time. And like, do I
Let's
wish
free up
certain
the
things were
headspace.
different?
Exactly.
I'm totally on that page,
Yeah.
and I think like I'm glad someone's saying that.
Yeah.
You know, in
Thank
a way.
you.
But I would say that the gimmicky part, gimmick in a good way, it would be your dressing up as.
Supersize the look. Supersize the look is where I take a celebrity style and I just help translate it into a curvy body type.
And what gave you the idea for that?
Well, I found myself, and I think I've always done this, getting inspiration from other women I see, especially in New York, and celebrities have become like, or I think
Inspiration, you mean like I like what that person's
I
wearing?
like what that person's wearing. I like their vibe. I like how they've styled this. How can I make it work for me?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically how I get dressed. And celebrities have stylists, right? That they've got a whole payroll of people who make them look good everywhere they go. So I figured that's like a great place to get inspiration from. And I think it's helpful because a lot of people talk themselves out of trends or clothing types because they're like, oh, I can't pull that off. But I like to show people that hopefully that they can.
That's neat because I think having seen it, it's like the right mix of like helpful, smart, but also like, what's the word? Like, winking.
Yes,
kind of.
That's the super size, right?
Right,
like it's
yeah.
like it's
Like this,
meant to be funny,
right? But
Yes.
you're also like,
but the
you look
clothes-
good in the clothes.
Yeah, the clothes aren't meant to be serious. Like there's a
It's subtle
comedian-
though, the way that you're able, I think, to do that because.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a comedian named Celeste Barber. I think she's Australian, and she like does, like side by side comparisons of like photo shoots where she's doing like a mocking version of like what a real person would look like if they were doing this. But that's not my intention with the outfits. Is certainly not to mock them or look silly. It's actually to just show you can wear something.
Mm-hmm.
But from 12ish Style. I got the idea to launch Mega Babe, which is my women's personal care line, because I wanted to tackle things like thigh chafe and boob sweat in a way that wasn't being done. And I launched that a year ago. So that's been awesome.
Well, I've been experiencing some chub rub myself.
Yeah.
I brought you for trade for a stick of Mega Babe if possible.
Oh,
I brought
yes!
you my Donald Trump poop bags.
I love your Donald Trump poop bags. My fiance is really going to love these. This is awesome. No, you're going to have a totally different experience going home with a stick today.
Okay.
Today is when things change for you.
Awesome. That's really cool. Well, when I was writing, I when I was like working as a journalist,
Yeah.
I wrote an article about maybe 10 years ago about like stuff for men with bald heads.
Yeah.
And like that as sort of a niche market.
Yeah.
Of like different razors people could use,
Yeah.
and different gels people could use to get like a matte head or a shiny head. And I remember thinking like, oh wow, this is so cool. This like weird little niche market that's actually not little.
No.
But that
A bunch of bald men
right? Like
around.
nobody
Yeah.
ever just. It's just like no one had thought of this.
No, it's
before.
not sexy.
And I remember thinking, what's another like thing like that
Yeah.
that everyone experiences, but like has not been addressed. Like you kind of found it. I
Yeah.
think.
Yes.
What's what's next? Don't smell like dog.
I'm always very conscious of that. I hope my house doesn't smell like dog.
No, but do you have any tips on how to
not
make-
smell like dog?
Yeah.
I do a lot of laundress spray.
Is that a brand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
they have
better than Febreze or
yeah, it's like a
Mrs.
safe, like a
Meyer's?
less like a non-toxic version of that.
Laundress spray.
Yeah.
And does it have a scent or does it just take away scent?
It has a scent. So it's basically like safer for Febreze. And then
Interesting.
I don't know.
That's a good tip.
I have a housekeeper that comes once a week so that we make sure like the floors are clean. 'Cause they
Oh
have
my God.
accidents all the time. It's the day after the housekeeper leaves. It's like, oh, it's so good, but it only lasts for like 12 hours. And yeah, I just try to. I just am very conscious of scent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and it's hard to keep a house clean when you have 3 dogs. That's
Yes.
a fact.
We had 5 in here.
Really? 5? Wow. So, having 3 dogs now, and I know that you have people who work here and you have your partner, but
Yeah.
like how many hours a week do you think you spend caring for your dog?
Not that much.
No?
No.
Your dogs, I should say.
I don't think so. I think the morning walk, I go get coffee. We walk for about 45 minutes, and like that's a big part of it's like one of my favorite parts of the day.
Don't you find it's hard to go get coffee when you have the dogs? Do you have what's your
No.
trick there?
What do you mean?
Well, because a lot of places won't let you bring in a dog to
Oh.
get your coffee.
Yeah, a dog-friendly place. That's where I go.
What's your
Yeah.
dog-friendly place? Do tell.
Yeah, the Highline Hotel right here. They have an Intelligentsia
Oh, okay.
inside, so it's
Well,
really
that's because it's a hotel.
yeah,
That's-
yes.
See, that's the trick. Hotels are more lenient.
then yes, yeah.
You know what
And they are a
Has
dog-friendly
changed
hotel.
my coffee life.
What?
Is the Starbucks app. Because now I can like order ahead and like run in with my dog and run out, so I don't have to like wait inside and get yelled at.
I'm a big fan of just bringing them in everywhere.
You know, I am too, but
Yeah.
I've gotten in trouble.
Yeah,
and-
totally.
And yeah, I feel like it puts such a it makes it hard to integrate your dog into your life when you can't bring them to places
I
where they
agree.
wouldn't necessarily be a bother.
Yes, I
But
agree.
like if you're doing errands and one of them is going to the post office, you know.
The post office is such an issue. I don't know why they're not allowed in there.
Right, like what are they going to do to the mail?
I don't know.
I think it stems from some
Dog.
some
postman.
deep-seated
That's
dog
funny.
postman.
Yeah.
Well, I've brought my dog to the post office, and I run an online store, so I end up at the post
Oh,
office. a
yeah.
lot. And I've brought my dog to the post office and then like put him in the backpack.
Oh.
And I've gotten yelled at even for that.
Really?
Like having him in a backpack.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think, you know what? I think as long as you're not being a jerk about it and your dog
So
behaves.
my husband and I were just in Europe for 2.5 months, and like
wow.
they're so different there with dogs.
Yeah.
Because I think that's it.
Yeah.
Like I think people in Europe just expect you, like if your dog shouldn't be in a public space. If your dog can't deal with being in a restaurant, like you shouldn't be bringing your dog
right.
there.
And they're not going to.
Right. Like
Right.
it's just rather than it becoming some sort of righteous thing.
Yes.
It's like I should be able to bring my dog into this.
Yes. I know.
Whatever.
But it's and they're actually pretty good in restaurant settings and things like that.
Which is great,
Yeah.
right? And it's made a big difference in New York now that you can eat outside with the dogs.
Yes.
Too,
That
right?
was the stupidest rule.
Right. It
With
was like
the
the dog
barrier.
had to be outside the barrier.
That barrier, and then they're clawing at the barrier the whole time. They're like, why am I? It was so stressful. I hated that.
Yeah. And it's like, are the dogs gonna like make the food dirtier?
I don't know.
But again, like I think people need to use their judgment.
Right, and I think probably people don't.
Probably people don't, but but people kind of do with kids, right? Like
No.
I
don't know. Ish. I don't know.
Any recommendations you have for someone looking to rescue a dog?
Start at Pet Finder. It's like online shopping for clothes, and you can just sort like what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think fostering is awesome. It's a really great way to test a dog out in your home and see how it's going to do. And
I think that's true too.
So many rescues need foster.
And the other thing about fostering, it's like everybody wins.
Yeah.
Because like even if you don't keep the dog, which you might not or probably won't,
yeah,
the dog is still getting something.
I've never kept a foster.
Yeah, the dog is still getting
Yeah.
something out of being in a home
Yes.
setting with someone who's paying
Agreed.
attention to him.
You're helping them get where they're going.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And it makes the shelters all the less crowded.
Agreed.
Oh my God, you guys are just adorable. You know that? The cuteness factor off the chart.
Katie, beautiful Katie, you're the only good girl that I adore.
Big thanks to Katie for taking the time to talk to me. You can find her online at the12ishstyle.com. I will also put a link to her various projects in the show notes. And fun dog fact of the day, according to the New York Times, the most popular dogs on Instagram are pugs, bulldogs, chihuahuas, huskies, and terriers. Also, sort of interesting fact, I guess, is Katie actually used to be married to another Instagram powerhouse, the Fat Jewish, who has an interesting account, although not as cute as her dog's accounts, I have to say. Our woof shout out this week goes to our student Mini Golden Doodle Terrence, who we call Terry. He can be found on Instagram, actually, at Terry the Dude. That's Terry the Dood. Terry has been a day school regular in our drop-off day school program for about 2 years, and he is just one of the sweetest, fluffiest, loviest dogs I've ever met. He really looks like a sort of apricot-colored teddy bear, and he just gives me the biggest greetings whenever I see him. I think everyone on staff is in love with him, and sadly, he and his humans are moving to Brooklyn because he is going to have a set of human twins in his family soon. So they're leaving their East Village abode, which means they're not going to be coming to day school with him anymore, and we are going to miss him so much. So Terry, please come back and visit. We love you, oodles and oodles. And also special thanks to Alex Chris for producing this episode, and to our sponsor, SaneBox. You can get a 2-week free trial of SaneBox plus $15 off by visiting schoolforthedogs.com/sane. I've used SaneBox for years to organize my email. My latest trick is, I don't know if you guys do this, but I do, is I email myself all the time, like things that I need to do. So half of the emails in my inbox are both to and from me. But one thing that you can do in SaneBox that's really helpful is email your future self. So I can send an email through SaneBox really easily right in my Gmail account to myself in a week or in a month for things that I know I'm going to have to deal with but don't have to deal with right away. And that really helps me clear out my inbox, but also make sure that I stay on top of things I need to stay on top of, which is certainly helpful. Thanks so much for listening. You can support School for the Dogs podcast by telling your friends about it, leaving a review, or shopping in our online store. You can learn more about us and sign up to get lots of free training resources when you visit us online at schoolforthedogs.com.